Zara's heart dropped. Something about the name sounded wrong. Very, very wrong. She tried to warn Kiki. You should be careful, babe. You don't really know him. Kiki rolled her eyes and laughed. Zara, please, don't start. I'm not a child. I've done this before. He's not new in this business. I asked around. Everyone says he's rich and generous. Zara had always been different. Even as a child in her small village, she would sit under the mango tree and watch the sky with big dreams in her eyes. While other girls in the village played with sand or followed their mothers to the farm, Zara spent her time writing in old notebooks, cutting pictures of fashion models from old newspapers, and imagining herself living in a big city like Lagos. Her family wasn't rich. In fact, they barely had enough. Her father had died when she was just 10, and her mother, a quiet, hard-working woman, sold roasted corn and groundnuts by the roadside to take care of Zara and her younger brother. Life was tough, but they were content. Still, Zara always wanted more, not just for herself, but for her family too. She finished secondary school with good results, but had no money to further. There were no jobs in the village, no real future. Every morning felt the same. Wake up, fetch water, help her mother, sit under the tree, and dream. And then one day, her cousin Kiki called. Kiki had moved to Lagos 2 years earlier. People in the village said she was doing very well. She always looked flashy whenever she visited, wearing wigs, nails, and perfumes that smelled like foreign flowers. She came in flashy cars with tinted windows and always carried different phones. To many people in the village, Kiki was living the dream. To Zara, she was proof that it was possible to rise above poverty. So when Kiki called and said, "Come to Lagos, I will show you the ropes," Zara didn't think twice. Her mother was scared, of course. She had heard stories of girls who went to Lagos and never came back. Stories of young women getting into trouble, being used, or disappearing forever. But Zara begged. She promised she would be careful. She promised she wouldn't do anything wrong. She promised she would return home once things get better. On the morning she left, it rained lightly. Zara packed her few clothes into a bag, wrapped her mother's photo in an old scarf, and tied it carefully. Her mother gave her a small Bible, some money for transport, and a long silent hug. As the bus drove off, Zara watched her mother disappear behind the dust and trees, wiping her eyes with the edge of her wrapper. Lagos was everything the village wasn't: noisy, crowded, loud, fast. The minute she stepped out of the bus at Jibo, she was hit by the heat and noise, the smell of roasted meat, petrol, and human sweat. She clutched her bag tightly, her heart pounding as strangers pushed past her. Then she saw Kiki standing beside a black car, smiling with white teeth and long eyelashes. Her wig was perfectly laid, and she wore gold earrings that danced under the sun. Zara ran into her arms, smiling with relief. Kiki laughed and pulled her close. "Welcome to Lagos, baby girl." They got into the car and drove towards Lekki. As they passed Ikoyi and the Lekki toll gate, Zara's eyes widened. Tall buildings, shiny glass walls, big cars. Zara had never seen such things. She felt like she had entered a different country. Kiki's house was a beautiful 5-bedroom duplex in Lekki Phase 1. The compound had a small swimming pool and flowers planted neatly along the fence. The inside was even more stunning: marble floors, glass table, a chandelier, and pictures of Kiki and her friends posing in front of a private jet and beach resorts. Zara was quiet as she stepped in, feeling like she had walked into a movie. Kiki introduced her to the other girls, Cynthia and Amara. Cynthia was tall, dark-skinned, and had a sharp face. She barely said much, only smiled politely. Amara was softer, more welcoming. She hugged Zara and helped her carry her bag inside. They all had their own rooms, and Zara was given a pink-themed room with a big mirror and a wardrobe full of clothes. That night, they had fried rice and grilled chicken for dinner. It was the fanciest meal Zara had ever had. She ate slowly, quietly watching how the other girls carried themselves, how they spoke, how they laughed, how they looked at their phones constantly. The next morning, Kiki sat her down and explained everything. "We are content creators," she said. "We make money from YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. We promote brands, show off our lifestyles, and go to events. But to really make it, you have to mingle with people who matter. Men with money, politicians, businessmen, musicians, oil guys. They take you out, they give you gifts, they help you build your brand." Zara nodded slowly. She wasn't sure what help meant, but she kept quiet. Kiki continued, "You just need to play the game smart. Don't fall in love. Don't catch feelings. Get what you need and keep your heart safe. Once your page blows, you will be paid to post, paid to appear, and you will never lack again." Zara felt nervous. This wasn't what she had imagined. But then again, back in the village, she had nothing. Here, there was at least a chance. That evening, they got ready for a party. It was Zara's first outing as a big babe. The girls picked out a gold dress for her. It was tight, shiny, and short. She wore heels for the first time. Her legs shook as she walked, but Kiki helped her practice. Her makeup was done by Amara, and her hair was styled with coils. As they stood in front of the mirror, Zara hardly recognized herself. The party was at a rooftop lounge in Victoria Island. From the moment they entered, phones started flashing, music was loud, lights were low, and the place smelled of perfume, alcohol, and expensive cigars. Zara stuck close to Kiki, her eyes wide as she saw women in designer clothes, men in kaftans holding glasses of wine, and social media influencers she had only seen online. A waiter handed her a drink. She sipped carefully. Her heart was racing. Men came over to talk to the girls. Kiki introduced Zara to a man called Chief Benson. He was old, rich, and had a large stomach. He smiled too much and kept looking at Zara like he already knew her. He complimented her, asked about her background, and told her she was beautiful. She said thank you softly. He smiled and said, "I like her, she's fresh." Zara didn't understand what that meant, but Kiki laughed and said, "She just got into town." Later that night, Chief Benson sent over a small black box. Inside was a gold wristwatch. Zara opened it with shaking hands. She had never owned anything so expensive. Kiki whispered, "Take it, say thank you." Zara nodded slowly. When they got back home, she placed the watch on the table and stared at it for hours. It was beautiful, shining under the light, but she couldn't sleep. She lay in bed, thinking about her mother, about the rain in the village, about the mango tree, about the smell of roasted corn. This life was nothing like home. It was fast, loud, fake, but it was also rich, shiny, and full of promise. She stood in front of the mirror, wearing the gold watch. Her reflection looked different, fancier, older, braver. She touched the mirror gently and whispered to herself, "Maybe I can do this." And That was how it began. Zara, the village girl with big dreams, took her first step into a world of secrets, soft life, and silent pain. But she didn't know yet what the world would cost her. She only knew that she had entered, and she couldn't go back. Morning in the Lekki duplex, we are quiet but busy. The sun always came in through the large windows, casting a golden glow on the tiled floors. It was beautiful, like a hotel, but the house was always full of quiet noise. Ringing phones, tapping fingers on makeup kits, the soft click of the high heels, and the faint hum of air conditioners. Zara had been in Lagos just for over a week. She was still learning everything, but life moved so fast in that house. As if you didn't catch up quickly, you would be left behind. The girls, Kiki, Cynthia, and Amara, had a routine. They slept late and woke up around 10 a.m. or 11 in the morning. They would eat a light breakfast, smoothies, toast, maybe some yogurt. Then the day would begin. Content creation. That was what they called it. The living room became a set. The girls would take turns filming short TikTok dances, beauty routines, and skit videos. Lights were brought out, cameras placed on ring lights, music played softly in the background. Laughter filled the room, but it was always controlled, careful. Nothing about it was real. Zara watched at first. She was shy on camera, but Kiki encouraged her. You have the face, the body. People will love you. Just act natural. So Zara joined in. Her first video was a simple dance with Kiki. They wore matching gym outfits and smiled into the camera. The video was posted on TikTok, then shared to Instagram. Within a few hours, it had over 20,000 views. By evening, Zara had gained 2,000 new followers. She was shocked. In the village, she had 86 followers, mostly old classmates, her church youth group, and her younger brother using her mom's phone. Now, strangers were liking her pictures, commenting with fire emojis, and messaging her from different countries. Kiki laughed when she saw Zara's face. This is just the beginning, she said. Days passed quickly. Zara began appearing in more vlogs. They recorded morning routines, how to get glowing skin, and day in the life of a Lagos baddie. The videos were heavily edited. The girls never showed their real morning faces or the mess in their rooms. Everything had to look perfect. Zara learned to wear makeup even when staying at home. She learned to laugh even when the joke wasn't funny. She learned to smile for the camera even when her heart felt heavy. Brands started reaching out. Hair companies, waist trainer sellers, skincare pages. They sent her products and begged her to tag them. She began to receive small payments too. 20,000 naira here, 35,000 naira there. For the first time, she had money in her own account. It felt good. It felt new. But alongside the brands came the other offers. Older men began to message her. Men with private jet photos on their pages. Men with no profile pictures, but with usernames like Real Chief 101 or Money King Dubai. They sent messages like, I like your vibes, let's hang out, or how much to spend a weekend with you. Kiki told her not to be shy. This is how you eat, she said with a small shrug. You post pictures to attract them. You meet them. You stay the night there. They spoil you. Then you block them and move on. Zara didn't respond. Her heart was already unsure. But the money was tempting. And the girls made it seem normal, like it was part of the job. Amara, the quietest of them all, once pulled Zara aside. She was brushing her wig in her room when she said gently, just be careful, okay? Not every man is safe. Zara nodded. Cynthia was more direct. She said, "Don't fall in love with any of them. Don't go without backup. And don't drink anything you didn't open yourself." Zara kept those warnings in her mind. She told herself she would never go too far. She would just do the social media part, maybe promote brands, maybe go to a few events, nothing more. But one night changed that. It was a Friday. The girls had been invited to a yacht party at Victoria Island. Zara was excited. She had never seen a yacht in her life. The girls helped her pick out a beautiful white dress with silver straps. Kiki coiled her hair. Cynthia loaned her a designer bag. Amara gave her a pair of earrings. "You are ready," Kiki said. The party was grand. Lights danced on the water. Champagne was poured like water. Girls in short dresses walked around, laughing, fuming, dancing. The boat was filled with music and perfume and noise. Zara felt nervous, but she smiled. She didn't want to look like a bush girl. An older man noticed her. He was tall, had grey hair, and wore white native attire. He had rings on his fingers and smelled of expensive collagen. He approached Zara slowly. He spoke softly, asked where she was from, said she looked like a rare gem. Zara smiled and replied politely. He stayed close to her the whole night. He asked if she would like to live with him, just to talk. He said, "I like your energy." Zara hesitated, but Kiki gave her a small nod from across the deck, so she agreed. He took her to a 5-star hotel in Ikoyi. The lobby smelled of roses and air freshener. The floors were polished like glass. They went up to the suite. Zara sat at the edge of the bed. The room was cold. She wrapped her arms around herself. He offered her wine. She said no. He poured himself a glass and talked for a while about his business, his travels, his cars. Zara nodded quietly. Then he stood and began to remove his shirt. Zara's heart dropped. She wasn't ready. She didn't know how to say no. She froze. He walked closer. She took a deep breath. He touched her arm. She forced a smile. She didn't know what to do. The rest of the night passed in a silence. Her body was present, but her mind was far away. She left the hotel the next morning with 400,000 naira in her bag and a new iPhone 13 Pro Max in her hand. But she felt numb. The ride back to the house was quiet. She didn't tell the other girls what had happened. Kiki assumed everything went well. She winked and said, "You see, you are learning." Zara didn't reply. That evening, the girls had a small party in the living room. They played music, danced, and drank wine. Cynthia was laughing loudly. Amara was scrolling through her phone. Kiki was showing off a new bag on Instagram Live. Zara sat in her room, the gold iPhone still in the box beside her. She looked at herself in the mirror. Her eyes were red. Her makeup from the night before was still smudged. Her dress from the party lay crumpled on the bed. She slowly removed her clothes and stepped into the shower. She scrubbed her skin until it turned red. She cried, not loudly, but deeply. The water couldn't wash off the shame she felt. She came out, wrapped herself in a towel, and sat on the edge of her bed. The music from the living room continued. The laughter echoed, but inside her, there was only silence. She picked up her phone and opened Instagram. There was a new photo of her from the yacht party. She was smiling in it. Her eyes were shining. The comments were full of praise. "Slay queen, wife material. Teach us your ways, oh mama." Zara closed the app. She lay down on the bed. Tears ran down her face again. And for the first time since she came to Lagos, she wished she had never left her village. Zara's Instagram page was now full of color, makeup, and edited pictures. She had crossed 100,000 followers. Her DM was full every morning. Men offering money, brands requesting promotions, and girls calling her their role model. Her name appeared on gossip blogs now and then. Even YouTube videos about top 10 Lagos slay queens had her name somewhere in the mix. But her smile was no longer real. She had learned how to pose perfectly, how to lift her chin slightly, how to suck in her stomach, and how to use filters that smoothed her face like glass. But behind every post, her heart grew heavier. Sometimes she would scroll through her old photos, pictures from her days in the village, a selfie in her mother's wrapper, barefoot on the red soil, smiling without makeup or wig. She didn't have money then, but there was peace in her eyes. Now, with designer clothes and expensive perfume, that peace was gone. Kiki and the girls noticed the change, but no one said anything. Everyone had their own battles. The house in Lekki was still busy. Every week, the girls received new PR packages. There were wigs, makeup kits, drinks, and clothes. Companies begged them for shout-outs. The living room had become a warehouse of luxury. But their hearts were almost empty. One afternoon, as Zara organized her content calendar, she found something buried under a pile of boxes. A photo of a girl with a white smile and red braids. Her name was Precious. Precious had once lived in the house before Zara came. Zara had seen her name mentioned a few times in old group chats. The other girls didn't talk much about her. Just a few quiet sentences. She couldn't handle the life, Cynthia once said. She ran away. But in the photo, Precious looked happy. She was holding a birthday cake, surrounded by balloons. Her eyes were bright. Her hands were raised. Zara stared at the picture for a long time. Something about Precious stayed in her mind for days. Later that night, Zara asked Amara quietly, what really happened to her? Amara paused. Then she replied softly. She got tired. One night, she packed her things and left. We never heard from her again. No calls, no text. Some say she went back to her village. Zara nodded but said nothing. Deep inside, she wished she could talk to Precious, ask her how she found the strength to leave. That week, the girls got a special invitation. It came through Cynthia, who received a call from a private client. There was going to be a high-level party in Ekpe. It wasn't a public party. It was a closed circle gathering, a gathering of billionaires, oil men, and foreign investors. The kind of men whose name never appeared online. There would be no phones allowed, no photos, no evidence. Each girl invited was to be paid 2 million upfront, and more depending on performance. They were to spend the weekend at a villa by the lagoon with 24-hour security, chefs, and personal drivers. The client behind the party was called Mr. X. Nobody knew his real name, but Cynthia said he was powerful, very, very powerful. Zara didn't want to go, but the money was too good, and the pressure from the others was real. This is the big league, Kiki said. These are the kind of connections that take your life to the next level. Zara nodded, but her stomach turned. Before going, they were each given contracts. The documents were thick and filled with legal words. They had to agree not to post anything about the event, not to mention any names, not to record any videos. Most importantly, they were told that if they backed out during the weekend, they wouldn't just lose the money. They could put themselves into danger. Zara signed. Her hands shook slightly. They traveled on a Friday morning. Black jeeps picked them up and drove them through long roads until they reached the quiet town of Ekpe. The villa was massive, built with white stones and wide balconies. The compound was surrounded by tall trees and high walls. There were security guards everywhere, young men in black with walkie-talkies. Inside, everything smelled of wealth. Marble floors, foreign paintings, chandeliers, and wine glasses taller than Zara had ever seen. They were welcomed with glasses of fruit juice and a smiling host who spoke with a foreign accent. The girls were shown to their rooms. each one large and cold. Zara's room had a king-sized bed, a glass table, a gold-framed mirror. Her name was already written on a small welcome card. Later in the evening, the party began. Men started to arrive, big men, grey-haired. Some were white, others Arab. A few were known faces in politics. Zara recognized the senator she had once seen on the news. The music was soft jazz. The lighting was low. Girls wore silk robes and walked barefoot on the marble floor. Zara was assigned to Mr. X. She met him by the pool. He was tall, bowed, and wore a black robe. His eyes were cold, like stone. He didn't smile much. He spoke slowly and firmly, calling her darling, in a voice that didn't sound sweet. He didn't talk much, just gave instructions. "Follow me," he said. She followed him to his private lounge, darker, colder, and filled with strange furniture. There were items Zara didn't understand. Things on the table that looked like tools, leather robes, masks, candles. He told her what he wanted. Zara's heart stopped. They weren't things she had ever imagined doing. She tried to protest. He reminded her of the contract. He reminded her of the guards. He reminded her of 5 million she stood to earn. She stood still for a long time, and then, numb, she agreed. What happened in that room would never be spoken out loud. It broke something inside her. It made her feel less human. She didn't cry in front of him. She didn't scream. She didn't fight. She just let it happen, like she wasn't there. Afterwards, she locked herself in the bathroom. She turned on the tap and stared at herself in the mirror. Her eyes were empty. She scrubbed her hands again and again, even though they were clean. Her fingers shook. Her lips were dry. She felt dirty. She felt used. She felt broken. The next morning, the girls were paid in cash bundles of clean 1,000 naira notes in brown envelopes. Zara held hers like it was fire. She didn't speak to anyone on the drive back to Lagos. She sat by the window of the jeep, watching trees pass by in a blur. When they got home, the house felt colder than before. The marble floors felt harder. The mirrors reflected things she didn't want to see. Zara went straight to her room. She dropped the money on the bed and stared at it. 5 million. It could change her life, but it felt like blood. She sat on the floor, holding her knees to her chest. Tears rolled down her cheeks silently. That evening, while she was still sitting there, Kiki came into the room laughing. She was on a call with someone. "I'm flying to Dubai next week," Kiki said excitedly. "He already sent me 5 million for shopping." She pulled out a red suitcase from under her bed and started packing. Zara watched her silently. Her eyes were still red. Her lips were trembling. Kiki didn't notice. She was too excited, too focused on the next trip, the next client, the next deal. Zara lay on the bed. She didn't remove her clothes. She didn't touch the money. She didn't reply to messages. The house was full of music, chatter, and light. But inside her, it was dark and quiet. For the first time, Zara knew the truth. This life was eating her from the inside, and she didn't know how to stop it. The sun rose gently over the Lekki skyline, casting golden light on the rooftops. The girl's house was already buzzing with soft noise, water running in the bathrooms, footsteps on the stairs, phone alarms ringing. But in Zara's room, silence ruled. She had barely slept. Since the secret villa party in Ebe, something in her had changed. She no longer looked at herself in the mirror for long. She avoided questions. She stayed offline more. Even when she posted, it was brief, no fancy captions, no forced emojis, just pictures, empty, cold, beautiful pictures. Her followers still grew, brands still sent her free products, messages still flooded her inbox, but she no longer felt anything when they came. One morning, as she sat by the window sipping lukewarm tea, Kiki walked in, smiling brightly. Her makeup was perfect, her hair wrapped in a silk bonnet, and she had her phone in her hand, recording herself for Instagram stories. "Your girl is going international," Kiki laughed, spinning around with excitement. Zara looked up slowly, confused. Kiki dropped her phone and jumped on the bed. "Z baby, I'm going to Dubai next week. Business class, 5-star hotel. And guess what? The man even sent me 5 million upfront for clothes and nails." Zara blinked. Her throat went dry. Kiki was glowing. Her energy was loud and proud. Her happiness wide. She went on and on about the flight, the luxury, the plans. She had already picked outfits, booked her hair appointment, and ordered new luggage online. Zara tried to smile, but her heart was heavy. She asked gently, "What's his name?" "Don Richie," Kiki said with pride. "He is big, oh, very connected, owing money, baby. His Instagram is on private but verified, just 13 posts, but all fire. And he only follows girls, oh." Hey. Zara's heart dropped. Something about the name sounded wrong, very, very wrong. She tried to warn Kiki. "You should be careful, babe. You don't really know him." Kiki rolled her eyes and laughed. "Zara, please, don't start. I'm not a child. I've done this before. He's not new in this business. I asked around. Everyone says he's rich and generous." Zara bit her lips, wanting to say more, but she stopped herself. She remembered how people had tried to warn her once, and how she hadn't listened. That even Kiki packed her bags with excitement. New clothes, new shoes, new wigs. She danced while listening to loud music. She was shining, confident, eager, and full of big city dreams. Early the next morning, she left for the airport. Zara watched from the balcony as Kiki's Uber pulled away. She waved slowly. Her chest was tight. She couldn't explain it, but something didn't feel right. Days passed. At first, Zara thought maybe Kiki was too busy enjoying herself. She checked her Instagram. New posts appeared every 24 hours. Kiki in a pink bikini by a swimming pool. Kiki sipping a drink with blurred background. Kiki in a hotel robe smiling softly. At first glance, everything seemed fine. But Zara looked closer, and then she realized something. She had seen these pictures before. They weren't from Dubai. They were old pictures. Zara remembered taking one of them herself during their trip to Ghana months ago. The pink bikini, the drink, the pose. She remembered the hotel balcony. That wasn't Dubai. Her heart dropped. She called Kiki's number, switched off. She sent a WhatsApp message, not delivered. She tried Instagram DMs, no reply. She went to the kitchen, made tea, but couldn't drink it. Her hand shook, her stomach turned. The next day, she checked again. More pictures, same styles, same fake smile, same background blur. Old. Something was definitely wrong. Zara sat alone in the living room, holding her phone tightly. The others were upstairs. Cynthia was on a work call. Amara was filming skincare content. The house felt normal, but nothing was normal. Zara opened Instagram again and searched for the name Don Richie 001. Private account, 13 posts, 200,000 plus followers, following only women. She hesitated, then sent a message. "Hello, I'm checking on my friend Kiki. She said she traveled with you. I haven't heard from her. Please, I'm worried." She waited. He read the message, no reply. She stared at the screen for an hour. Still nothing. She called his number, the one saved on Kiki's phone as Big Don. It rang once, then voicemail. Zara's hand turned cold. That night, she couldn't sleep. She tossed and turned in bed, staring at the ceiling. The sound of the fan, once calming, now felt like buzzing in her ears. Her heart beat fast. Her thoughts were racing. Then her mind drifted back to her own past, to a memory she had buried, to Turkey. It had happened 2 years ago. She had just become known in Lagos Circle. Her Instagram had crossed 50k followers. Her face had been featured on 2 fashion pages. She was glowing. She felt unstoppable. That was when she met Mr. Faisal. He was smooth, charming, and wealthy. A Middle Eastern businessman. He promised her a trip to Istanbul, first class, 4-star hotel, shopping, and 10,000 US dollar for companionship. Zara had been nervous, but he was polite. He even arranged her visa. So she went. At first, everything seemed fine. The hotel was real. The gifts were real. The food, the clothes, the perfume. It was all real. Until the third night. That was when things changed. He brought 3 other men into her room. He locked the door. She tried to refuse. He slapped her. The others laughed. She screamed, but no one came. The music from the next room drowned her cries. For 4 days, she was locked inside that suite. No phone, no passport, no help. She was beaten, humiliated, broken. It was a Nigerian cleaner at the hotel who saved her. A kind man who noticed her face through the peephole. He slipped her a phone charger and later helped her escape through the staff elevator. She flew back to Lagos with bruises on her arms and a deep scar in her heart. She never told anyone the full story. She smiled online, posted happy photos, and carried on. But the trauma lived inside her. And now it was back. Because Kiki was missing, and no one seemed to care. The next morning, Zara didn't come out of her room. She sat on the floor with a pillow hugged to her chest. She stared at the phone, waiting for a call that wouldn't come. By noon, she decided to act. She called a contact, Tola, a PR girl who knew everything and everyone in Lagos nightlife world. When Tola picked up, her voice was low and serious. Zara explained what had happened. There was silence on the line. Then Tola said, "Don't tell me Kiki went with Don Richie." "She did," Zara replied, her voice shaking, "and I haven't heard from her since." Tola exhaled deeply. "Jesus, that man is not safe." Zara's heart sank. "What do you mean?" Tola continued. "There had been whispers, stories. Girls go with him and don't come back. Some come back broken, others don't return at all. He has people in Dubai, Turkey, South Africa. They don't just use girls, they sell them." Zara dropped her phone. The words echoed in her head. They sell them. She picked it up again, hands trembling. "Please," she whispered. "What can I do?" Tola said gently, "Zara, be careful. These people are dangerous. If they know you are looking for her, you could become the next target. Don't post anything. Don't make noise. Let me ask around. I will get back to you." Zara ended the call. Her chest was heavy. She sat in the silence of her room. Then she whispered to herself, over and over again, "I should have protected you. I should have protected you." The house remained normal, but Zara was not. She avoided the other girls. She stopped filming content. She didn't eat much. She barely bathed. She wore the same t-shirt for 2 days. Her eyes were red, her voice weak. One afternoon, Cynthia asked her, "Are you okay?" Zara nodded. "Just tired." No one pressed further. That night, she sat on the balcony alone, watching the city lights blink in the distance. She stared at the stars and wondered where Kiki was. Was she safe? Was she crying? Was she even alive? She remembered how they first met, how Kiki had hugged her at the bus park, smiling so wide. "Welcome to Lagos, baby girl," she had said. And now Kiki was gone, and Zara had no idea how to bring her back. The world outside Zara's window was loud as always. Cars honked, people argued on the street, vendors shouted prices of food. Lagos didn't pause for anybody, not for heartbreak, not for fear, not for missing friends. But inside the Lekki duplex, Zara sat still in her room, her body frozen, her thoughts heavy like stones. It had been 4 days since Kiki left for Dubai. 4 days of silence, 4 days of fake photos posted on Instagram, 4 days of sleepless nights, unanswered calls, and growing fear. Zara could no longer pretend everything was fine. Something inside her had started to break. She had lived a fake life for so long, smiling for cameras, dancing on command, tagging brands she didn't even use. But now, that fake life was becoming dangerous, deadly. The world outside Zara's window was loud as always. Cars honked, people argued on the street, vendors shouted prices of food. Lagos didn't pause for anybody, not for heartbreak, not for fear, not for missing friends. But inside the Lekki duplex, Zara sat still in her room, her body frozen, her thoughts heavy like stones. It had been 4 days since Kiki left for Dubai. 4 days of silence, 4 days of fake photos posted on Instagram, 4 days of sleepless nights, unanswered calls, and growing fear. Zara could no longer pretend everything was fine. Something inside her had started to break. She had lived a fake life for so long, smiling for cameras, dancing on command, tagging brands she didn't even use. But now, that fake life was becoming dangerous, deadly. She picked up her phone and stared at the last text she sent to Kiki. "Babe, just reply me. Let me know you are okay." Still unread. Still no blue tick. Her hand shook as she scrolled through Kiki's Instagram page again. There was a new post. Kiki wearing a silver dress, holding a wine glass, standing on a hotel balcony. But Zara recognized the picture. It wasn't new. It was from their trip to Ghana months ago. Zara's chest tightened. She knew then, without a doubt, that someone else was using Kiki's page to fool everyone. She couldn't stay silent anymore. She couldn't scroll past it like the rest of the world. She had to do something. She dialed Tola's number again. Tola, the PR girl who always knew what was happening in Lagos nightlife scene. Tola, who had helped many girls build their social pages and land deals. But also, Tola, who heard the whispers, the truths people didn't post. Tola answered, her voice soft but alert. Zara wasted no time. "Please, have you heard anything else about Don Richie?" There was a long silence. Then Tola spoke slowly. "Zara, I didn't want to scare you before, but I've asked around, and what I heard is bad." Zara sat up straight. Her fingers gripped her phone tighter. Tola continued, "He's been doing this for years. Every few months, he flies a girl out, young, pretty, always new in the game. They land in Dubai or Turkey or sometimes South Africa. The girls disappear or they come back broken." Zara could barely breathe. Tola kept going. "He works with a network. They call it business, but it's trafficking. Some girls are forced into prostitution. Some are sold. Others are trapped with fake passports and no way home." Zara closed her eyes. Her lips trembled. "What about Kiki?" she whispered. "I don't know," Tola replied. "But if she went with him and you haven't heard from her by now, it's serious." Zara dropped the phone onto her lap. Her ears rang. Her heartbeat was loud. Her mind was spinning. She wanted to scream, but her voice was stuck in the throat. Later that day, Zara sat alone in the kitchen, a half-empty cup of tea beside her, cold. The clock ticked slowly. Rain started falling outside, tapping gently on the glass. Cynthia entered the room, holding her phone, scrolling. "You look like you've seen a ghost," she said casually. Zara looked up. "Kiki is missing." Cynthia stopped scrolling. "What do you mean?" "She didn't arrive in Dubai," Zara said. "Or maybe she did. But something is wrong. Those photos she's posting, they are old. Someone else is using her account." Cynthia sighed and pulled out a chair. "Zara, listen. I know this life isn't perfect, but you need to stop panicking." Zara's eyes narrowed. "You don't understand." "I do," Cynthia replied. "I've been in this game longer than you. And let me tell you something. Girls go, girls come back. Some don't. That's the risk. That's the life. We all know it." Zara's eyes filled with tears. "So we just move on? Pretend like it's normal?" Cynthia looked away. "If you want to survive, yes." Zara shook her head. "I can't." "So you think you will be the one to change it?" Cynthia asked, almost laughing. "You think one Instagram post will save her? You will only draw attention to yourself, babe. And these people are powerful. They don't play, oh." Zara stood up slowly. "Then let them come for me." She walked out, leaving Cynthia speechless. Back in her room, Zara stared at her gallery. She scrolled through old pictures of herself. Before the makeup, before the brand deals, before the wigs. She stopped at one photo. Her in a simple gown, standing in front of her village house, smiling with her natural hair. Her eyes were soft, pure. She posted it, no filters, no edits, just truth. And in the caption, she wrote, "Not all that glitters is gold. Some of us are smiling through pain. Some of us are missing, and no one notices. Don't envy what you don't understand." She didn't tag anyone. She didn't mention Kiki, but she didn't have to. The post went viral within an hour. Thousands of likes, comments flooding in, reposts from gossip blogs, influencers resharing it with "what's going on" captions. "Zara, are you okay? Is this about Kiki? I feel this so deeply." Some even guessed, "I heard one of the big babes went missing in Dubai." "Is it true?" Zara turned off her phone. She couldn't take it, but she felt lighter. She had finally said something. She had broken the silence. That night, the house was quiet. Rain still poured outside. The power blinked once, then came back. Zara sat by the window, wrapped in a shawl, staring out the wet street. Then her phone buzzed. She hesitated, then picked it up. It was a DM from an account with no profile picture, no name, no follower. The message read, "If you care about your friend, stay quiet. Don't push it. Mind your business." Zara's hand went cold. Her fingers trembled. She showed the message to Amara. Amara gasped. "Zara, this is serious, oh." Zara sat on the bed, her heart racing. She read the message again and again. The word felt like poison. She could feel fear crawling into her bones. But then, something shifted in her. She thought of Kiki. She thought of the last hug, the last laugh, the excitement in her eyes before boarding that flight. And now, she was gone, missing, possibly trapped. And someone had the audacity to threaten her into silence. Zara stood up. She went to the mirror. Her reflection stared back at her, tired, tear-streaked, worn out. But behind the tired eyes, there was fire. She whispered to herself, "I won't let her become a hashtag. Not Kiki, not my friend." It was past midnight. The whole house was silent except for the soft hum of the air conditioner in Zara's room. She lay on the bed in the dark, staring at the ceiling, unable to sleep. Her mind had become a storm. Memories of Kiki's laughter, flashes of her old photos, the sound of her voice when she left for Dubai. But now, there was only silence. That silence was the heaviest sound of all. Zara had barely eaten for days. Her skin had lost its glow. Her eyes were dull. Even her phone, once her daily companion, had become a thing she feared touching. She kept expecting bad news, Or worse, no news at all. Earlier that day, she had received the threatening DM, "If you care about your friend, stay quiet." The word stayed in her head like a whisper behind her ear. But she didn't stop. She kept checking blogs, trying numbers, messaging people who might know anything about Don Richie. She even created a fake Instagram account to follow some of the men linked to him, hoping to find clues. Nothing came until that night. Her phone rang. At first, she didn't recognize the number. It was a strange line. No name, no country code, nothing familiar. Her first instinct was to ignore it, but something told her to pick it up. She answered with a soft, shaky voice. "Hello?" For a few seconds, there was silence. Then a weak voice whispered back, "Zara." Zara sat up immediately. Her heart almost stopped. "Zara, help me." The voice was thin, broken, barely audible, but she knew it. It was Kiki. Zara's whole body froze. "Kiki," she whispered into the phone, afraid to believe it. The voice on the other end began to shake. "I escaped. They took everything. My phone, my passport. I've been locked in a room." Zara's eyes filled with tears instantly. Her hand shook as she gripped the phone tighter. "Where are you now? How are you calling me?" I begged a woman at a laundry shop. She let me use her phone. I don't know the address." Zara jumped off the bed and grabbed a pen and notebook from her table. "Please, Kiki, ask her for the name of the place. Anything. Street, shop, area." She heard Kiki asking the woman something in a mix of broken English and another language, Arabic maybe. Then Kiki returned to the phone, breathing heavily. She said the area is called AI Kuzias. Near a blue mosque, there's a supermarket called AI Manor. Zara wrote down the details quickly, her tears falling freely now. "Okay," she said, trying to stay calm. "Please stay there. Don't move. I'll get you help. Don't leave that place, Kiki." Kiki's voice was barely a whisper now. "I'm scared." "I know," Zara said, voice cracking. "But you are safe now, I promise." Then the call ended. Just like that, Zara stared at the phone, her heart racing. There was no number to call back, no contact to trace. But she had something now, a location, and she had to move quickly. It was almost 2 a.m. Zara turned on her laptop and searched for the Nigerian consulate in Dubai. Her fingers moved fast. Driven by panic and urgency, she found the official website. There was an emergency phone number and an email. She didn't hesitate. She called the number first. It rang a few times. Then a tired female voice answered, "Hello, Nigerian consulate Dubai, emergency line." Zara tried to speak, but her voice cracked from emotion. She took a breath and pushed through. "My name is Zara. I'm calling from Lagos. My friend is stranded in Dubai. She was taken there by a man, Don Richie. She escaped. She called me from a laundry shop near AI Kuzias. She said it's close to a blue mosque and a place called AI Manor Supermarket." The woman's voice changed. She became serious, alert. "Do you have her full name?" "Yes, her name is Kiki Okafor. She's 22, Nigerian. She traveled last week." "Can you send this information by email right now?" "Yes, I will. Please help her." The woman assured her that a team would be sent immediately. Zara hung up and typed the email with trembling fingers. Subject: urgent help. Missing Nigerian girl in Dubai, Kiki Okafor. She included everything: name, age, date of travel, the man she traveled with, and the location she mentioned. She added her own phone number and begged them to act fast. When she clicked send, she sat back in her chair and let out a long shaking breath. She had done all she could. Now, she could only wait. That night, she didn't sleep. She lay on her bed, phone in her hand, eyes staring at the ceiling. Her heart refused to rest. Every sound in the house made her flinch. At one point, she sat up and opened her Bible. She hadn't touched it in months. She turned to the book of Psalms, then closed it again. She just prayed in her heart. "Oh over and over. Please let her be okay. Please let them find her. Please let me hear her voice again. By morning, her eyes were red and her body was weak. But there was a knock on the door. Amara peeked in. Zara, someone sent a message to the house email. Zara jumped up. She ran downstairs to the shared laptop. The message was from the Nigerian consulate. She opened it quickly. The subject line read, Kiki Okafor, safe and found. Zara gasped and put her hand over her mouth. Her eyes flew across the words. Thank you for your report. Our team located Miss Okafor near AI Cuisines and took her into protective custody. She is safe, receiving medical attention, and will be moved to a secure shelter. Updates on her return process will follow. Zara fell to her knees and cried. Not from pain, but from relief. She sobbed quietly, holding her chest. She whispered softly, Thank you, God. Amara sat beside her and hugged her tightly. She is still alive, Amara said with a trembling voice. Zara nodded, wiping her face. They found her. They found her. Later, Cynthia walked into the room, yawning and holding a cup of coffee. She paused when she saw Zara's face and an email on the screen. Zara looked up at her. Kiki is safe, she said. Cynthia blinked. Wait, what? She escaped. She called me. I contacted Nigeria consulate. They found her. Cynthia went quiet. She stared at the screen, then looked at Zara. For once, she had nothing to say. No warning, no sarcasm, no defense. Just silence. Zara stood up slowly and walked back to her room. She sat by the mirror and looked at her reflection. There were dark circles under her eyes. Her lips were dry. Her hair was rough. But she smiled. A real tired, beautiful smile. She whispered to herself, She's alive. And for the first time in days, her heart felt light again. The morning sun entered through the white curtains of Zara's room, but she did not feel its warmth. The brightness outside didn't match the storm still inside her. Even after the good news from the Nigerian consulate, her heart had not fully settled. She knew Kiki was safe, but she hadn't seen her face, hadn't heard her voice since that one shaky call from a stranger's phone. Zara kept checking her phone every few minutes. The consulate had said Kiki was under protection, receiving medical attention. They promised updates, but time was slow. Each second stretched painfully. Her thoughts kept returning to Kiki's smile, her energy, her confidence, the image of her standing beside her red suitcase, waving goodbye with so much excitement. It haunted Zara. The same Kiki who used to dance around the living room, who wore lashes even to the beach, who made every dull room shine. That girl had disappeared into silence. Zara sat by the window, a blanket wrapped around her. The whole house was quiet. Cynthia was upstairs, barely coming out of her room these days. Amara had started going to church more often, as if searching for peace in a life filled with noise. But Zara didn't want to sit still anymore. She wanted to face whatever truth was waiting. And then it happened. Her phone lit up. A video call. The name on the screen made her chest jump. It was Kiki. Zara's hand trembled as she reached for her phone. Her heart pounded with fear and hope, both crashing together. She touched the green icon and waited as the screen connected. The face that appeared was not the Kiki she remembered. It was still her, but changed. Her skin was pale, her cheeks were sunken, her lips were dry, her hair was wrapped in a scarf. There were no lashes, no makeup, no filters, just her real, raw, tired face. Her eyes were still full of fire. They looked straight into Zara's, filled with pain and strength. Then Kiki began to tell her story. There were no jokes, no smiles, no funny side comments, only truths. She had landed in Dubai and been picked up by Don Richie in a fancy black car. The hotel they drove to looked like a palace, big lights, glass walls, uniformed staff. For the first 24 hours, everything felt fine. He bought her clothes, gave her gifts. showed her luxury. She believed she was just there to take pictures, enjoy herself, maybe spend a few nights with him. But on the second day, everything changed. He locked her in the hotel room. The door had no handle from inside. The windows couldn't open. Her phone was taken from her. Her passport disappeared. Her SIM card was removed and thrown away in front of her. At first, she thought it was a mistake, until the knocks started coming. Every few hours, different men came into the room. She was told to smile, to please them, to stay quiet. When she refused, she was slapped. When she cried, she was ignored. She was fed once a day, just enough to keep her alive. The room was dark, cold, empty. She wasn't the only one. She heard voices in the next rooms. Other girls, some spoke Yoruba, others cried in Ghanaian accents. A few whispered in Swahili. One girl said she was only 17. Another said she hadn't seen the sun in 10 days. They had all been promised the same things: fashion deals, business class flights, vacation lives. Instead, they were trapped. Kiki stopped counting the days after the 5th. Her body was sore. Her mind felt like it was floating. She stopped crying at one point. There were no more tears left. Then one morning, a small chance came. One of the guards was late. He had opened the door but got distracted by his phone. Kiki saw it just for a second, but she knew it was now or never. She ran, barefoot, no bag, no ID, nothing. She ran down the hotel corridor. Her feet hit the cold floor, her heart beating like a drum. No one chased her immediately. Maybe they didn't expect it. She rushed out through the kitchen exit, pushing past carts of foods and surprised workers. Outside, the heat of the sun hit her face for the very first time in days. She didn't stop running. She didn't know where she was going. She ran. She found a small street, turned a corner, and saw a laundry shop. A middle-aged Arab woman was sweeping the front. Kiki ran to her, crying, shaking, begging. The woman looked at her, shocked. Kiki knelt on the floor, pulled at her dress, and pleaded in broken English. She needed to call someone. The woman stared at her for a long time. Then she nodded. She handed her a small phone, and that was how Kiki made the call. The one call that saved her. Zara listened without blinking. Each word stabbed her heart. She imagined it all. Kiki in that dark room, afraid, lost, used. She thought of the other girls, some probably still there, and the men laughing, living free. When Kiki finished speaking, her eyes were full of unshed tears. But she didn't cry. She had cried enough. She sat straight, her voice calm, her face steady. Zara nodded slowly. Her chest was heavy with emotion. She wished she could reach through the screen and hold her friend. But all she could do was promise her something. That her story would not be wasted. That what happened would not be buried behind filters and fake smiles. That the truth would be told. Not just for Kiki, but for every girl trapped in silence. And Kiki, with quiet strength, gave one final sentence. One that echoed through the room. One that ended everything they had been through and marked a new beginning. She said she was never going back to that life. Never again. The air at Murtala Mohammed Airport in Lagos was hot and heavy. People moved around with bags and boxes. Taxi drivers called out for customers, and trolleys squeaked over smooth floors. But none of that mattered to Zara. She stood at the arrival gate, holding her phone tightly, her heart racing. She had barely slept the night before. Her eyes were red, not from makeup, but from waiting, from worrying, from wondering if the day would come. And then she saw her. Kiki stepped out slowly, pulling a small travel bag. Her frame slimmer than before, her steps slow, careful. Zara's eyes filled with tears as she ran forward and hugged her. It was not a loud hug. There were no screams or videos. Just two friends holding each other tightly, saying nothing but feeling everything. Kiki had made it home. But from the trap, back from the silence, back from the edge. But now, it was time to heal. The ride home was quiet. Zara had arranged for a boat ride instead of letting anyone else know. She didn't want attention, not yet. Kiki sat beside her, looking out the window. Her face was calm, but her eyes looked so tired. She stared at the streets of Lagos like someone returning from war. Every horn, every face, every billboard brought back memories. When they got to the house, Amara came outside first. She gasped softly when she saw Kiki and pulled her into a gentle hug. There were no words, only silence, only warmth. Even Cynthia came downstairs. She stood at the top of the staircase, holding the railing, frozen. Kiki looked up at her, and for a long moment, no one said anything. Then Cynthia nodded and whispered, "I'm sorry." Kiki nodded back. No one blamed anyone anymore. They had all played a part. They had all looked the other way. And now, they were all praying for it. The next few days were slow. For the first time, there were no makeup kits on the dining table, no ring lights in the living room, no TikTok dances, no vlogs. The house was quiet, almost too quiet, but it was peaceful. Kiki stayed in her room most of the time, resting, eating, and slowly getting her strength back. Zara didn't rush her. She knew healing wasn't loud. It was quiet, slow, patient. One afternoon, they all sat at the living room. The four of them. No phones, no filters, just truth. Zara started first. She admitted that she had lost herself a long time ago. That every photo she posted was a lie. That every smile she gave on camera was hiding a deep, heavy sadness. That she had once accepted gifts from men who made her feel small just to keep the fake life going. Kiki listened, nodding slowly. Then Amara spoke. She said she had always felt uncomfortable with the lifestyle. She had grown up in a Christian home, and every time she attended an event, she felt like she was betraying herself. She stayed quiet because she was afraid. Afraid of being left behind. Afraid of being poor again. Afraid of starting over. Then Cynthia spoke too. She admitted that she had introduced Kiki to Don Richie. She had heard rumors about him, but she chose to believe the sweet version. She wanted Kiki to shine, to win, to become bigger online. She thought it was just another deal. Now she regretted everything. She said she couldn't sleep since Kiki disappeared. That her hands shook every time she posted a photo. That she had thought about quitting the whole lifestyle many times, but didn't know how. Kiki didn't judge anyone. She just looked around the room and said something simple with her eyes, not her lips. "We survived." And that was enough. They all sat there in the quiet, with their truth, and it felt like the first real thing they had shared in years. They had been pretending for so long, pretending to be rich, pretending to be happy, pretending to be in control. But now, the masks were off. They were just girls, broken, healing, real. The next week, Zara got a message from a small women's group in Surulere. It was a community that worked with young girls, students, fresh graduates, job seekers. They held monthly workshops to talk about self-esteem, confidence, and the dangers of online pressure. One of the organizers had seen Zara's emotional Instagram post weeks earlier. She asked if Zara and Kiki would be willing to speak at the next event. Zara asked Kiki. Kiki paused for a long moment. Then she said yes. She wanted her pain to mean something. She wanted her story to save someone else. They didn't dress up for the event. No lashes, no makeup, no heels. Just jeans and plain tops. They took a boat to the community hall. A simple place with plastic chairs, a dusty fan, and young girls sitting eagerly in front of a small table with bottled water and a microphone. The girls clapped softly when Zara and Kiki entered. They didn't recognize them at first. They looked too ordinary, too real. And that was exactly the point. Zara spoke first. She told her story in simple words about leaving the village with big dreams, about meeting the Lagos big babes, about smiling through pain, about earning money from posts, but losing her peace. She said she had accepted a 5 million naira deal that made her feel like a slave, that she had scrubbed her skin after the job, hoping to wash away the shame. The room was silent. Some girls covered their mouths. Some looked down. Then Kiki spoke. She told them everything about Don Richie, about the hotel room, about the other girls, about the way she ran barefoot into the street with no phone, no ID, no voice. She didn't cry. Her voice was strong, but many in the room did. At the end of the talk, one girl raised her hand and asked, "If you could go back, would you do it all again?" Kiki answered without thinking. "No," she said, "never." Zara stood beside her and added, "We lied to the world and to ourselves. We made it look easy, but it cost us our freedom." Before they left, they took a group photo with the girls. No filters, no edits, just smiles, real ones. Back at home that night, the girls gathered in the living room again. They made noodles, sat on the floor, and talked about their future. Kiki said she wanted to start a small fashion line with the little savings she had left. Amara said she wanted to go back to school, maybe study social work, help girls like them. Cynthia said she was thinking of starting a cooking page, but this time with real honest content, no lies. And Zara, she wasn't sure yet, but she knew one thing: she would never lie again. She had found her voice, and she was going to use it. Before going to bed, she posted something on Instagram, a picture from the community event. No filters, just her, standing in front of the clinic. Her caption was simple: "Not all that glitters is gold." And for the first time, she didn't care how many likes it got. The living room was quiet, peaceful, and for the first time in a long time, filled with purpose. The once glamorous house in Lekki, where music, ring lights, and Instagram filters used to rule, had changed. It was no longer a set for fake lives. It had become a space for healing, reflection, and real conversations. Zara sat on the couch with her legs folded, a small notepad in her hand. Kiki sat beside her, her laptop open. Amara leaned against the dining table with her arms crossed, while Cynthia stood by the window, staring out as the evening sun painted the sky orange. They had been talking about it for days, and now they were ready. They were going to start a YouTube channel, but this time, it would not be about fake lifestyles, makeup routines, or how to secure the bag. It was about truth, raw truth. The kind no one wanted to post, the kind they had all hidden behind filters, smiles, and designer labels, the kind that almost killed them. They decided to call it the Real Life Diaries. There would be no wigs, no fake nails, no rented clothes, just them, their real faces, their real voices, their real pain, and their real journey to freedom. The first video was simple. They used Amara's phone, propped it up with a stack of books, and sat in front of the camera in plain clothes. The room behind them was clean but ordinary. No marble backdrop, no soft pink light. Zara spoke first. She introduced herself as a former Instagram babe who once lived for likes, comments, and money from rich men. She talked about the emptiness that followed every gift, every night spent pretending to be someone she wasn't. Then Kiki shared her story, this time in full. She described how she was flown to Dubai, locked in a hotel room, and forced to do things that broke her soul. She didn't cry, but her voice shook when she spoke about the day she escaped barefoot into the street. Cynthia and Amara also shared. Cynthia admitted that she had introduced Kiki to Don Richie, not out of wickedness, but out of greed and blindness. She said she wanted fame so badly that she forgot to protect the people closest to her. Amara said she had stayed quiet for too long, even though her heart screamed every time a girl left for a dangerous trip. She blamed herself for not speaking up. Together, they all said something powerful. We were part of the lie, but now we choose truth. That was the end of the first video. No music, no editing, just truth. They uploaded the video and titled it, "The Truth Behind Our Glamorous Instagram Lives. Why We Stopped Lying." At first, the video didn't do well. Only 200 views in the first 24 hours. A few comments, a few likes. No big buzz. But they didn't stop. Every week, they posted one video. Each time, they picked a topic people never spoke about. One week, they talked about sleeping with men for money, the pressure, the shame, and the fear of saying no. Another week, they spoke about mental health, the night they cried silently, in their rooms, the way their smiles hid their pain, the depression behind the fake laughter. Then came the hardest one. They made a video about the worst offers they had ever received. They told the story of a night when a foreign man had offered them $10,000 each, not to sleep with him, but to sleep with his dog. The money was real, the man was serious, and they had said no. But the fact that such a thing was even offered shocked them to their core. They said that night they knew they had hit rock bottom. They wanted to quit, but fear, poverty, and shame held them back for so long. After posting that episode, the comments began to pour in. Hundreds of girls from Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, and even the UK left messages. Some shared their own stories. Some thanked them for being honest. Others said they had been planning to follow the same path, but changed their minds after watching. One comment read, "I am preparing for a trip to Dubai with a man I met on Instagram. I cancelled it after watching your video. You saved my life." Another one said, "For the first time, I feel seen. I've lived in silence for so long. Thank you." The views began to grow, not by thousands at once, but slowly, steadily, from the real people who truly listened. The girls didn't care about going viral. They cared about impact. Each message felt like a small piece of healing, not just for the viewers, but for themselves too. They began to feel lighter, more free, more human. The house changed even more. No one wore makeup unless they wanted to. No one faked content. They recorded when they felt like it. They rested when they needed to. Zara began to write again. She opened a new journal and started penning down her thoughts. Short poems, notes to her younger self, and letters to girls who had lost their way. Kiki focused on her fashion sketches. She had always loved clothes, and now she was learning how to design them. She hoped to open a small store one day, not to become rich, but to build something of her own. Amara started helping out at a girls' shelter on the mainland. She would spend weekends talking to girls who had run away from home or were rescued from the streets. Her heart found peace in that work. Cynthia began to enjoy cooking again. She turned her old Instagram page into a cooking channel where she taught people how to make affordable meals. People started following her for the first time, not because of her body, but because of her recipes. They were all changing from the inside, and it showed, not in their clothes or their photos, but in their peace, in their smiles, in the way they spoke, in the way they looked at each other in the eye. One evening, Zara sat alone in the balcony. The sky was soft, painted with orange and purple. The city lights were blinking slowly in the distance. The breeze was cool. She scrolled through their YouTube comments again. More thanks to yous, more testimonies, more love. A tear seeped down her cheek, not a tear of pain, a tear of relief. She had finally found what she had been searching for all along. Not fame, not money, not followers, but truth, real connection, real impact. She stood up and looked at her reflection in the glass door. No wig, no filter, no fake smile, just herself. And for the first time in years, she smiled genuinely and whispered to herself, "This is real influence." The house that once echoed with loud music, makeup brushes clicking, and the endless beeping of phones was now quiet, soft, and peaceful. The first time in years, there was no rush, no fake smiles, no lies, just life. Simple life and real life. One Sunday evening, all four girls sat together in the backyard. There was no party, no music, no camera crew, just a wooden table, plates of food, and the sunset. They laughed, talked about life, and teased each other gently. Cynthia brought pepper soup. Kiki wore a dress she made herself. Amara shared a story from the shelter that made them all tear up. Zara just listened. She watched them, these women who had been through fire and still came out with soft hearts. They had walked through darkness, but they had chosen light. They had been broken, but they had chosen to heal. They had lied to the world, but now they were telling the truth, and the truth was setting them free. Later that night, Zara returned to her window. The sky was dark now, but filled with stars. She opened her journal again and wrote the words that had been on her heart for weeks. Words she wished someone had told her when she first came to Lagos. Words every young girl needed to hear. Real life is not filtered. And real success takes patience, hard work, and the courage to say no. She closed the book gently and smiled. She didn't need 1.5 million followers anymore. She didn't need VIP invites or designer bags. She had peace. She had purpose. She had friends who had become sisters. And most of all, she had herself, whole, free, and finally home. The most important lesson in this story is that real life is not filtered. And real success takes patience, hard work, and the courage to say no. In a life full of fake smiles, dangerous shortcuts, and social media lies, this story teaches us that the fast life often hides pain, shame, and danger. The true soft life isn't about money or followers. It's about peace of mind, self-worth, and freedom. Never trade your future for fame. Never silence your pain for likes. Your life is worth more than luxury. And with that, my dear friends, our story comes to a close. But remember, the magic of storytelling lives on, waiting to whisk us away on new adventures, where the wonders of imagination know no bounds. Goodbye for now, and may your dreams be filled with joy, wonder, and endless possibility. Thank you so much for watching. Please kindly comment, like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more interesting stories.